Hello everyone. Let us take a look at the story The Three Questions by the great writer Leo Tolstoy. Before beginning, I wish to ask you whether you have ever been troubled with questions regarding your future, regarding your careers, about success in life, or anything else. And if so, have you ever tried to take help from your elders or your friends? This is a story of a king who thought that for being successful, he must know the answers to three questions which troubled him. The questions were: what is the best time to do anything? Who are the most important people to work with? And what is the most important thing to do at all times? The king believed that if he got the answers to his three questions, then he would get the ultimate wisdom to avoid failure in any work that he would undertake to do. Also, he thought that if he got these answers, he would get the knowledge of how to lead a successful life and how it would be a life of good too. So he got it announced throughout his kingdom that anyone who gave the answers to these three questions would be rewarded by him, the king. And then learned men from all over his kingdom came to him, but they all answered the three questions very differently. The king didn't agree with any of the answers to any of the questions, and so no one got the reward from the king. So the king decided that he should, because he wanted the answers to his questions, he decided to consult a wise hermit who lived in the jungle. And this hermit, who lived in the jungle or a wood, received only common people. So the king disguised himself as a commoner wearing very simple clothes. When the king came to the hermit's hut, he saw that the hermit was digging the ground in front of his hut. The king asked the hermit his three questions, but when the hermit didn't give any reply, the king noticed that the hermit was very tired from the digging he was doing. So the king took the spade from the hermit and started digging the ground himself. Now imagine the scene where the king, dressed as a simple man, is digging the ground in front of the hut and the hermit was standing beside him. Presently, a wounded man comes running to them, and the king, seeing that he is wounded and blood is oozing out of his stomach, he helps him by cleaning and bandaging his wound. At night, the wounded man, sleeps on the bed, only bed in the hut, and the king lies down on the ground. Because he is tired, he falls fast asleep. Next morning, the man asks the king's forgiveness because he says that actually he had planned to kill the king. He vows to serve the king now because the king has saved his life. The next morning, when the king asks the hermit the answers to his questions again, the hermit says that questions have already been answered. So he explains to the king that the previous day, the most important action done by the king himself was helping the hermit when he was tired by taking the spade from his hand and digging the ground, and later helping the wounded man by cleaning his wound. So, the most important action that the king did was helping these people. The hermit explains further that the most important person whom the king helped was firstly the hermit, and later he had helped the wounded man. Also, he says that it is clear the most important time was when the king was helping the hermit and helping the wounded man, because by these actions, by giving importance to that time and that person around at that time, the king has won over a loyal friend who was actually his enemy. So, there is only one time that is always important, and that is now. Dear friends, we have no power over, no control over our past. Also, we can plan for the future, but anything can happen to disrupt our plan. And so, we have power only over the present, that is the now. Also, the most important person is the one with whom or the people with whom we are. Also, the most important work is to do good for the person or the persons with whom we are in our family or at our workplace. This story is a parable. That is, it is a simple story used to show or used to illustrate or give us a moral lesson. We know of numerous such fables since childhood. We know of the fable of the blind man and the elephant, also the hare and the tortoise, where the fable shows or gives us the lesson that slow and steady wins the race. This story, The Three Questions, is a parable. Also, it shows or it gives us universal truths. It is such a story that is relevant for all times and all places. This story teaches us three golden rules for leading a meaningful life and also a successful one. Let us revise. There is only one time that is always important, and that is now. Whatever we plan to do, whatever we think of doing, we should postpone it but do it or start doing it right away. The most important person or people are the ones with whom we are. And the most important work for us to do in life is to do good for those people. So, the theme of this story, dear friends, is that the knowledge that the king seeks, he tries to find out, and he finds the answers in the wisdom of the hermit, who makes the king aware that kindness, forgiveness, and acceptance of our situation, of the people around us, kindness towards them, and forgiving them are the values to make our lives happy. Thank you very much. Hope you liked the story.